Hey, Ty Guy. How are you doing? Matt's Makerspace and Mike. Why don't I see my live stream? Here it is in YouTube.
I've been seeing this awesome clean.
Oh, for Christ's sake, come on. Live chat. Here we go. Got it. Nice. You'll have fun with that. We're actually getting snow today. We've gotten snow twice already. Just, flurries, an inch on the ground or something like that, and it melts the next day. But we're getting snow today and tomorrow, but it'll go away pretty fast. Oh, I can't make it bigger, huh? I already combed that, and it's already doing its poof thing as soon as my hair dries. I might have to start using hairspray. My printer is very, very unhappy. Amazon told me the hot ends would be delivered last week. They weren't. Then they said Monday, and they weren't. Then they came in Tuesday, so they came in 6 days late. But I got the hot end replaced on the longer, and the extrusion did not improve. It's still coming out thin. I had to increase the extrusion, the flow rate on the printer to 110% in order to get the correct flow rate. I don't know what's up with that. I guess I need to actually, this is the first time I'm ever going to say this, but I think I maybe need to check the E-steps on that printer. Maybe it's not correct, or maybe there's something wrong with the feeder, although it looked okay. I didn't see any problems. Nothing seemed to be slipping. The Chiron is down again. The hot end is so clogged that even when I put a metal stick down the throat of the hot end and hit it with a hammer, I cannot get whatever's clogged in there out. Like, I took an Allen key. I have the hot end taken apart. I took an Allen key, put it down the throat, and I'm hitting it with a hammer. And whatever the hell is clogged in there, it ain't coming out. It said, "I'm here forever, Buttercup. I ain't going nowhere." But, so I can't put a Creality hot end on the... No. I don't think you understand what I just said. I took a Allen key. I put the Allen key down the throat of the hot end, and I hit it with a hammer, and it didn't budge. My next attempt is going to be to hit it with a hammer from the other end, because that's a little trickier, because when I hit it from the top end, there's a shaft for my Allen key to go inside, and then I can hit the end of the Allen key. But if I hit it from this end, there's no shaft to go inside. It's just whatever the hell that thing in there is clogged. So, well, no, I know a soldering iron is not going to do it. I already had the hot end at near 300 Celsius, and it didn't care. I could hit it with the actual tip of the soldering iron, but I think there was contaminant in that roll of filament. I think there was something in the filament that's not melting, and that something got jammed in the hot end. I'm thinking a piece of rock, piece of mineral, something like that. No, I took the nozzle, I took both ends of the hot end off. All I got left is the cooling. Let me show you. I have the hot end completely disassembled. I haven't tried to take the block off yet because it uses itty bitty little Allen keys, and none of my Allen keys quite correctly fit it, and I don't want to strip it. That's what I'm thinking. It must be a rock. But here you can see, there's the throat. I take an Allen key and I put it inside the throat, and I hit that fucker with a hammer, and it just said, "It don't care." Well, I mean, I can feel it. Whatever's in there, matter of fact, you know something? I wonder if it is a rock. It does not sound like plastic. No, it's not heat creep. Well, actually, sort of. PLA creeps really easily in all metal hot ends. You got to reduce retraction, all kinds of crap, season it. All metal hot ends don't like PLA. Some work great, some don't work great. My guess is higher quality hot ends with a nice polish probably work fine. Or maybe this is just a piece of shit. I don't know, but this is that lizard hot end you guys had me get from AliExpress. And it is not happy. I really cannot tell what is in there. Let me try a better quality camera. This is a better camera. No, this roll was sealed in plastic. You can't even see it. Whatever's in there is just dark. Most likely I need to get light to actually shine in there. Seriously? Come on. Boy, this camera does not like the PWM control for that LED. That's the first thing I did. That's usually how I get past one of these problems, is I crank up the hot end and just push. And that usually does it. I cannot see what's in there. Even when I shine light down that hole, it's just a black abyss. You can see where I've beat the living snot out of it. I can get this in there. It's kind of a little sticky. I'm not sure what I'm feeling. Yep, fan was still going, all good. Yeah, well, it's more difficult to go in from this end because I don't have the channel that holds it in place right there where I can just whack it. So this end, I'm just touching the end of it, so it doesn't take much for this to jump out of place. But I will try it from this end. Either which way, this hot end's shot. If it wasn't destroyed before, it is now. I've gouged the inside of it trying to hammer this through it. But the problem is I can't get the Chiron running because the Chiron uses a V6 style hot end. That's where it has the little round clamp that grabs the top of the hot end instead of the two bolts that go through. And the Chiron plate doesn't have mounting holes for a Creality style hot end. Yeah, that's the first thing I did. Like I said, it was the second thing I did. First thing I did was crank up the temperature to 260 and tried to shove filament through. That usually works. The next thing I did was I took off the fan shroud, which would allow the whole hot end to get hot. And still didn't work. Whatever is in there is not plastic. Whatever's stuck in there is not plastic, and it's not melting at these temperatures. Is that loose? It is a tiny bit loose. Wherever that heat pipe is. So, yeah, I want to say garbage hot end, but then again, it was printing PETG just fine. So I think it just, this cheap hot end doesn't like PLA. Like, it really doesn't like PLA. No, I never said that. John's right. But I did. I didn't unplug it. I took off the 3 bolts and moved the it's difficult to unplug the fans because it goes to a daughter board, but so does the hot end and the thermistor. So I just unscrewed that cage and moved it out of the way so that no fans were cooling the hot end. I figured get that booger nice and hot. Nope, it didn't care. And I thought I saw like a dark gray color, whatever was in there. Whatever's in here is a dark color. I don't think it's black. I think it's like a dark gray, like a graphite color. And yeah, the PLA was white. So there's something in there, some foreign matter. I'm actually trying to figure. One of the reasons I was trying to get it this way is I want to capture whatever is coming out of there. I want to see what it is. You know, I'm trying to yeah, I'll figure something out, but I'm trying to figure out a way to get that out of there and not lose it, not have it go because that's what it's going to want to do. I'm going to hit it the right way and it's going to go so I'm trying to capture it. I want to see what it is, but my guess is foreign matter, that something was in the plastic that shouldn't be there. I've seen pictures of little rocks in PLA, like melted right in the stream, like little tiny pebbles in the actual PLA. So I'm thinking there's some kind of foreign matter, a metal shaving, piece of graphite, something foreign was in that PLA, and it hard jabbed inside the hot end. It said, "I ain't going nowhere." No idea. It's some no-name brand filament from 6 or 7 years ago. So no way to know who made it. And then I'm running into, I don't know, I have to be missing something simple. I have to be missing something simple. Well, first of all, I think I partially solved my bed adhesion. I flipped over the plate for the glass side and I cranked up the bed temperature to 90 Celsius. I actually had to turn on the cooling fan because I tried to print a PETG block. I was printing at 250 Celsius, no fan, and 90 degrees Celsius on the bed. And the plastic did not seem happy about that. Although I think it was more the speed. I tried to crank up the speed a little bit, and the plastic didn't like that. I guess I was pushing the thermal limit of that hot end on that machine. Although I've done a higher volumetric flow than that. I gotta check. I gotta see exactly what speed I'm achieving. I gotta run the G code through an analyzer to see what I'm actually achieving in speed, not just what the slice was saying. But my guess is, unless there's something else wrong that I'm not getting, my guess is I'm bumping up against my thermal limit, where it can't melt the plastic enough, because it started missing. Not missing. It was extruding the plastic, but like it wouldn't stick to where it was supposed to stick. And so you'd end up with a line. And also the layer adhesion seems to be suffering. This is a 0.8 millimeter nozzle. How do I not have good layer adhesion? That just doesn't make sense. I brought the speed back down to 100%. I brought the temperature down to 245. And it seemed happier. It started printing clean. Ooh. I don't have one. But I do like LEU's line of printers. They have some growing pains. They make some mistakes and stuff like that, but that happens with all manufacturers. Now here's the thing. The print quality looks fantastic. This is a PLA one I printed, and it's not. It's got little imperfections. I'm not sure what that is. Might just be age of the filament. I don't know. Except this is PLA, and I'm cracking. It's splitting. You see that right there? The goddamn thing is splitting. How is that happening? Look at that. What the hell? Since when does PLA split? This isn't the first one. The other one was splitting pretty bad too. It's like, how does PLA split? And this is a 0.8. I wonder if the layer height is too high. I wonder if 0.6 millimeters is too high of a layer height. I don't want to go down to 0.4 because that's going to bump me over 20 hours. This is all old filament. Very old filament. I don't have the money right now, but maybe next month I'll buy a brand new roll of cheap PLA and I'll see what it does. But, you know, it printed great. It looks great. And it's still warping. You can see I still have the warp. For the life of me, I cannot get look at that warp. And it does that by the time I get to here. By the time I get to here, this is warped. And unlike PETG, I can't crank the bed up to 90C. That's not going to work for PLA. So, I mean, in my past experience, I've done an awful lot of, I don't have an LEU printer. I've done an awful lot of large nozzle printing. You know I like my fat nozzle prints. And usually bigger nozzle equals better layer adhesion because you have a larger layer bonding together. You know, so you have a 0.8 millimeter layer instead of a 0.4 millimeter layer bonding. So you have double the surface area bonding together. It usually makes for a stronger bond. I've printed some 1 millimeter nozzle prints. You could beat someone over the head with them and brain them with that print, and the print would just laugh at you. You think that's bad? You ready? First of all, that's how much filament I had left. So, yeah, that barely did it. So, that's questionable whether that roll actually had a kilogram on it. You ready for this? If you saw the thumbnail, you know what's coming. This is a PETG print. This is printed at 35 or 40 millimeters per second, 0.8 millimeter nozzle width, 0.6 millimeter layer height, 245 Celsius, 90 on the bed. And it looked fine printing. So everything you're about to see happened after it successfully printed those layers. Meaning this print ripped itself apart after it was printed. While it was printing, but you know, this wasn't like that layer failed. It got to 20 layers above it, and then those layers started failing. What the F? I can't believe it successfully completed. It ripped itself apart. This isn't failed extrusions. This was, this printed just fine, and when it got up to here, this layer ripped itself apart. Like, this thing shrank so hard, it pulled its own layers apart. I mean, and it's all around. I mean, this thing's just ripped apart. And I even increased the flow rate so it's even thicker. And it just, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Is this a filament problem or is this a printer problem? I can't find the goddamn keys to the bus. I don't know what I did with the keys to the bus. So I can't go in the bus. I found the pickup truck keys and I found the minivan keys, but I haven't found the leaf keys or the bus keys. Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if my layer height is just too much. Like, if I have to go down to 0.4, which would really suck, because that's going to increase my print time from 15 hours to like 20 hours. Because going from 0.6 to 0.4 is going to be a 33% increase in print time, which is going to be about 21 hours. But it's just, I can go to 1 millimeter with a 0.6, but the problem is then I go over a kilogram. And I don't want to go over a kilogram. Oh, I slowed down. I was down to 85% on this. That under 30 millimeters per second. Didn't matter. It prints fine. It goes down fine. And then as it cools, it rips itself to pieces. The layers just tear themselves apart. I don't know. Whatever 28 or 29 millimeters per second with a 0.6 millimeter layer height at a 0.8 millimeter extrusion width at 105% flow rate, so probably closer to a millimeter. No, 5% is not going to get you to a millimeter. You would need 25% to get to a millimeter. Let's see what the slicer says for volumetric flow. Let's see here. Recent projects, 334, slice. Okay. Where do I see volumetric flow in Prusa Slicer? Use filament, estimated print time. The printing time. Hey, that's something interesting. The print time for Prusa Slicer is only off by 1 minute. It's telling me 15 hours and 43 minutes. The printer takes 15 hours and 44 minutes. That's actually impressive. This is a pretty simple print, too. It's big, but it's simple. It's saying I'm using 328 meters of filament, but it's not telling me what do you normally measure volumetric flow in? Like, what's the units of measure for volumetric flow? There's a setting for that here, isn't there? Does anybody know where set target temperature is in Prusa Slicer? I know it's freaking here somewhere, but I can't find it. Like, for the life of me, I cannot find that setting. I found it once. Nope, you can't search for it. I've tried. It's called set target temp. It's that thing Prusa does where it sets an initial temperature while it's doing all of its other stuff, and then it sets the actual temperature. I've got mine set for 250 for my PETG printing, but I always have to, manually reset that on a printer or open up in a text editor and reset that because PLA doesn't like that. PLA doesn't like 250. But I cannot find that setting again in Prusa Slicer. It's driving me crazy. It's like, where the hell is that goddamn setting? I know volumetric flow is here somewhere. Like, there's an option in here somewhere to limit volumetric flow to and then you have that option. Oh, wait, can I do a search for that? Flow. That's ironing flow rate, cooling threshold, travel lift, filament spool weight. Really? There's no option anywhere for flow rate? There's an option for flow rate under ironing, but where's normal flow rate? Yeah, but where do I see what it's set to in here? There's an option, so I've seen it. There's an option in Prucializer where you could tell it, don't go above this volumetric flow. You know, maximum flow rate or something like that. You know better. Volumetric. Here we go. No. Experimental setting uses the output E values in cubic millimeters instead of linear millimeters. No, that's not it. Filament settings. Is it under filament? There's no such thing as filament settings. Which submenu under filament settings? Advanced. There we go. Thank you. Hang on. Let's see here. Filament load, delay after loading, unloading speed. I don't see that anywhere. Oh, max volumetric speed, 15 cubic millimeters a second. Yeah, I'm an expert. It's right in front of my face. I skipped over it. I don't know why. Max volumetric speed, 15 cubic millimeters per second. Oh, wait a minute. It says here, volumetric flow rate is maximized when printing external perimeters with a volumetric rate of 35.44 cubic millimeters a second at a filament speed of 14.73 millimeters per second. What does that mean? Is it saying that that's what the actual flow rate of my print is, or... That's okay. Feature type, volumetric flow rate. It looks like it is capping it at 15 millimeters per second. Cubic millimeters a second. Is there any chance that's too much for the hot end? I mean, I've done 1.2 millimeter extrusions at a 0.8 millimeter layer height, you know, at 25, 30 millimeters per second. Which I'm guessing is higher than... So I'm guessing it's basically ignoring my speed settings because it's limiting the volumetric flow. Huh. That's annoying. So, should we go to 10? Max. Oh, interesting. It says here on Filament to Print says that 15 cubic millimeters a second is good for PLA, but for ABS, ASA, or PETG, you should be limited to 10 cubic millimeters a second. Interesting. Okay. So this may have... Yeah, okay. So almost all of my previous fat nozzle prints were PLA. Very few of them, I think, were other materials. No, I did one at ABS. But I ran that one pretty slow. Yeah, if I remember right, I did my ABS nose cone at 50%, which, if this holds true, would be about 7 or 8 cubic millimeters a second, which would be right in the sweet spot. Okay. So I'm just going too fast. Let's see what that takes now. Yeah, 23 hours. Exactly what I figured. Oh boy. I was all excited getting it down to 15 hours per print. I might need to put a volcano on there. PETG is less dense than PLA, isn't it? I thought PETG was a lower density. Yeah. PETG is 1.23 grams per cubic centimeter. And PLA is 1.25. So PETG is a lower density, although it's basically the same exact density as PLA. And why does nobody know the actual glass temperature of PETG? I've seen everything from 50C to 78C. What the hell is it? Now, what the hell? Why are these values all different? Now, this site says that PLA is 1.24 and PETG is 1.27. But this site says it's 1.25 and 1.23. What the hell? Do these people not know the density of the shit they're selling? Well, it matters a whole lot to me, John. it makes the difference as to whether the part's going to melt in my car or not melt in my car. Well, we know it's not melting; it's just deforming. But yeah, it makes a pretty big difference to me. Oh, interesting. So here, how many meters? Okay, so so it looks like, oh, that's interesting. You see, this is something that needs to be stabilized in the industry. We need to stop. We need to stop measuring filament by the kilogram. Measuring filament by the kilogram does not make any sense. It's especially if you're pushing close to the limit of how much filament is on one roll. Okay? Well, this says the TG of PETG is 50 centigrade. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was right around 70 Celsius. And I actually thought it was 78, but it could very well be one of these sites said 78. But then again, I have had some PETGs warp on me at well below 70 centigrade. I would love to have a pellet hot end. You print with a pellet hot end. I would love that so much. That'd be amazing. Well, I've got a roll of transparent red PETG that I'm going to use on this project. So I am going to run that roll at the 10 cubic millimeters a second. Even though it's going to take 23 hours, that's fine. Whatever. I mean, considering the number of days I've wasted trying to get this shit working. Yes, it can be. I noticed that PETG prints fine at 210, 220. The problem is layer adhesion is garbage. And yes, formulation changes dramatically from one vendor to the next. Like, Atomic PETG is a pleasure to work with. It's just a dream to work with. The problem is it's expensive. I'm not going to waste my Candy Crush Pink printing a block. But here's something that needs to be dealt with in the 3D printing community. We need to stop measuring rolls of filament by kilograms, and we need to measure rolls of filament by the meter. Because this is why I almost ran out. A kilogram of PLA has 335 meters, while a kilogram of PETG has 328 meters. And as you can see here, I used 328 goddamn meters of filament. 327.9. For people who are maybe unaware of this number here, 977.97 grams, that's a fart. That's a guess. Okay? That is dependent upon whatever values you put in for your filament, which are purely a guess. Why did that change? There it is. While the this number here, 327.9, is exactly accurate. Because your printer does not work in masses. Your printer works in steps. Everything your printer does is steps. It's the number of steps of the Yeah, go ahead, but it might not let you. Nice. 10 kilograms. Ooh. Oh, that makes me drool. Yeah, I wish I can go to Murph again, but that's just... You might as well say I wish I can go to Germany or China. It's just too far. It's just way, way too far. I mean, even if I wanted to just attend as an attendee and not have a table, fly there, it's just so expensive. Nice! Now, is there a way for me... I really wish that YouTube would fix this. Let's see here. Can I still click on your name? Now, there used to be a way for me to click on a person's icon here and go to their page. And YouTube took that away, which really pisses me off. Oh, you guys notice how nasty the commercials are getting lately? How often it makes you watch 3 or 4 commercials in a row, and how often it tries to make you watch a minute or more of commercials? I've stopped watching videos. I just, I keep in reset, and if it insists I watch a 55-second commercial, I just leave and go watch a different video. I'm not watching a minute of ads. Not every 5 minutes. I'm just not doing it. Sometimes I have to reload the video 6 or 7 times to get it to give me either a 5-second skip or a 10-second skip. But it also merges them all together now. So now it's not this video's playing, then this video's playing. Now that timer is for all of them combined. Yeah, it's obnoxious. It's in your face obnoxious. I hate it. Okay, so let's see here. DELS logos. Oh, the freemium games are just sick. Some of them are just outright disgusting. Here we go. All right, what printer do you want, or what video do you want, Dell's logos? I'm looking at your page. Videos. 3D Printing Hulk Part 1. Here we go. At Dell's Logos' latest work. Oh no, they've always been extracting their rent. They're just being obnoxious about it. There has to be balance. I mean, I'm not going to watch 6 minutes of ads to watch an 8-minute video. I'm just not going to do it. I would rather just not see the video if it means I have to watch ads that are almost as long as the damn video. I'm just not. So I keep trying to convince manufacturers to not list kilograms, but to list meters. We need actual meters. Because that's how the slicers work. The slicers don't work in grams. The slicers don't work in kilograms. That is a calculation the slicer performs with the actual measurement that it knows, which is length. Length is what the slicer knows. If the slicer says you're going to use 327.9 meters of filament, God damn it, you're going to use 327.9 meters of filament. It's that accurate. Nice. Isn't that wonderful? Making a print that won't fit in the house. Yeah. Why the hell would you 3D print something that doesn't fit in your house? Because we can. No other reason. That's it. Because we can. Why the hell am I trying to print structures out of 3D printed blocks? Because I can. That's it. Because I can. We're crazy. Oh, but if you're not having fun, what's the point? Excuse me. If you're not having fun, what's the point? I got such a craving for Wawa. If you're not from the East Coast, you're not going to have any idea what I'm talking about. Wawa is a chain of convenience stores in the Northeast and the Southeast coast of the United States. I'll look at it later. This computer does not like it when I watch a YouTube video while streaming. It gets very ornery. It does not like it one bit. So Wawa is a convenience store chain. If you know what 7-Eleven is, or Circle K, or Sheetz, or Mavericks, if you're familiar with any of those gas station convenience stores, you know where it's more than just a little shop with some sodas and snacks. You know, usually it's a much more advanced shop. They have hot food, all kinds of stuff. Wawa was basically the Beverly Hills version of a convenience store without the snootiness. It was basically a high-end convenience store. So they had nicer products, a larger variety of products. They had regularity. They'd always have this similar stuff every time. And their bar, or their grill and bar, whatever you call it, you know, the hot food section, it wasn't just, schnot dogs from 7-Eleven. Although the burger bites were pretty good. I'll admit, I liked the burger bites. Basically, it was a hot dog that was a hamburger instead of a hot dog. A hamburger in the shape of a hot dog. So Wawa was like a really nice 7-Eleven. It put 7-Eleven to shame. But they had hot food. So you can get soups, and the soups would change throughout the year. Like sometimes, lobster bisque came and went. Pumpkin bisque was a really good one. I like that one a lot. Sometimes they'd have beef stew. Sometimes they'd have mac and beef. There was regulars that they pretty much always had, but then there's throughout the years, different seasons, you'd have different flavors that would come and go. And hot sandwiches, like the beef tip sandwich they used to have was so good. I can't believe they got rid of that. It was so delicious. Actual hoagie, 12-inch hoagie, a real sub. So, Wawa during the fall season has the gobbler. The gobbler is a hot turkey sandwich with turkey gravy, cranberry, and stuffing on a 12-inch sub. And I would get it without the stuffing. I'm not a big fan of stuffing, although it seems I'm starting to like stuffing. I don't know why. I don't hate it now. But not a big fan of stuffing, so I would get my gobbler without stuffing. And I haven't had Wawa in 4 years. No, 3 years. That first year when I went to Murph, I got to hit a Wawa. There was a Wawa near Murph. It wasn't Murph, it was Irf. It was Irf that had the Wawa nearby. So 3 years since I've had my Wawa fix, and it'll probably be another 30. I have a bunch of tea from Wawa because I love their ginger peach tea. I actually have a whole box of it. So every now and then I'll make myself a Wawa tea. But I wanted a gobbler badly. And well, you'd be surprised how hard it is to find a 12-inch sub roll around here. I guess that's just not a thing they do around here. Well, my data set is 1, so that's not fair. Let me check Smith's. I didn't check to see if Smith's has. I think Smith's has the bins where you take the tongs and you grab whatever rolls you want. I think that that maybe they might have them. So there's the 6-inch sub rolls. Now where's the 12-inch sub rolls? 6-inch. Bolilo rolls. Looks like they don't have it either. It's just nobody around here has just regular 12-inch sub rolls. I don't know why that's a weird thing around here. It's just this. What? Oh, that's a bulk. So all I'm talking about is this. 12-inch sub roll. That's it. I just want a 12-inch sub roll so I can make my gobbler. I can make my turkey sandwich. So I bought a little 3-pound turkey. And, of course, it comes with a packet of turkey gravy. And I bought some full, whole berry cranberry and mashed it up. to simulate, because the Wawa also had a special cranberry sauce. It wasn't normal cranberry sauce. It was a hybrid. It was halfway between jellied and whole berry. So it was semi-whole berry, I guess you'd call it, or semi-jellied. But it was unusually delicious. But if you take whole berry cranberry sauce and mash it up a bit, mince it up a bit with a fork, it's pretty close. It's not quite the same thing, but it's not quite as liquidy. The cranberry sauce that Wawa uses is a little bit lower viscosity, but it's still good. So I couldn't get any sub rolls. Nobody has sub rolls. There is a Jersey Mike's in town. Maybe I'll see if they'll sell me a bag of sub rolls, and I could put them in the freezer individually. I'll do 2 because me and Michelle. So 2 rolls per freezer bag. Freeze them. I gotta find a way to get some sub rolls. I wonder, is that something that Amazon has? Sub rolls. I don't think that's something that Amazon would have. And it would probably be part of Amazon Fresh. Or it'll be stupid expensive. Like, here's a deli sub rolls, but you have to buy a case of 48 for $91. And even that's pretty expensive. $2 a roll is a lot of money. Okay, so I can't get it from them. Walmart did have them, but it was only by mail order. And you had to buy, a big case, which I don't need. 12-inch rolls. See, all they have is these short rolls. Here it is. Here's 24 per case for $90. What? $90 for 24 of them? Are you nuts? That's damn near $4 a roll. That's a highway robbery. That's ridiculous. But this is what I need. I need sub rolls. Just regular. These are usually 60 cents a piece, in the grocery store. Maybe Smith's doesn't list the stuff in the fresh bins, so I'll have to go and check Smith's in person. But anyway, I tried to make a gobbler with limited success. I bought French bread. It looked right. What I didn't realize was French bread is a sub roll this big. It was way too big. Oh my god, it was so big. I ended up having to just cut the French bread in half and make it open-faced turkey sandwich. Do it that way. I couldn't get it in my mouth. It was too big. It was just too big. So French bread out. However, French bread makes amazing French toast. The crumb is looser. It's got a looser crumb with more holes. And so the batter gets into the French bread easier. It is so creamy to eat French toast made with French bread. Oh, we're definitely gonna do that more often. we're gonna order the. It's a little expensive. It's $1.47 for a French bread roll, which is actually not that bad. But yeah, the French toast with the French bread was so superior that we're gonna do that more often. And if I remember correctly, the right way to use French bread for French toast is to take it out of the bag the night before and let it go stale overnight. Let it dry out. And then it absorbs the batter better and holds itself together better when you make French toast out of it. Apparently, stale bread is better for French toast. So I'll have to try that. But, yeah, that was delicious. But yeah, the gobbler was good, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. It wasn't the sub experience. It wasn't the same experience. So I got to figure out where to get 12-inch sub rolls. Find out if anybody has them. Well, the Jimmy John's is 12-inch sub rolls. So, but the problem is the nearest Jimmy John's is 50 miles away. It's 27 miles there and 27 miles back. It's just not worth it. Hey, Lightspeed. You want to see a 3D print that ripped itself apart? This happened after it printed these layers. it pulled itself apart on the print bed. The layers just tore themselves apart. We're thinking I was going too fast. We're thinking 15 cubic millimeters a second is just too quick for PETG. So I'm going to print the exact same file, but at 10 cubic millimeters a second. I had this much filament left. So when it said 328 meters, it wasn't kidding, because that's what was left. It wasn't joking. This is, when I tell you there's only 328 meters, I mean it. That's something I didn't realize, is that PLA typically has 335 meters of filament on a roll, and PETG typically only has 328 millimeters of 328 meters of filament on the roll. That's why I hate that they use kilograms. I hate it so much. They need to start doing rolls by the meter. You know, tell me how many meters of filament is on this roll, because that's what the slicer uses. Slicer does not use kilograms. Slicer calculates kilograms from meters length times the density you give it times the diameter you give it. So it's calculating your weight, which is a guess, because that's assuming the diameter is correct, and that's assuming the density you put in is correct. The only good value is meters, because that's what your printer actually uses. Your printer uses steps, which is distance, which is meters, not volume. But yeah, I had that much left. Although I guess I could still use this block. I mean, it's garbage, but oh yeah, it's kind of like an accordion. Look, I'm still going to use the block. I'll just put this one on the bottom. Let the weight of all the other blocks squish it. Oh my god! I finally had to run the bed at 90 centigrade to get it to stop. To get it to stop peeling off the bed, to get it to stop warping off the bed, had to run it at 90 centigrade. Today is not going to be fun. I've got to go to the post office today. And the typical wait time at the post office is between 3 and 4 hours. Not going to be enjoyable. I might have to actually bring a chair with me to sit on, because I don't know if I'm physically capable of standing for 4 hours. I'm not sure I'm physically capable of doing that. I guess there's one way to find out. But yeah, Walmart has French bread, which I got. The problem is there's no scale, so I didn't comprehend just how big it was. I should have realized from this, 14 ounces. That's an awful heavy sub roll at 14 ounces. A sub roll should be about half that, I think. So I didn't quite realize just how big this roll was, and it did not work for a sandwich. Yeah, that did not work. Okay, so at least I'm not crazy. At least it probably is the... So my guess is the reason I can print other prints is that I'm not printing other prints. Most likely just the settings, retractions, travel moves, all that stuff is slowing it down enough to get it into that acceptable range for the plastic. And because this print, I've highly optimized this print to print it as quickly as I can. Because of how much I've optimized it, I'm actually achieving the speeds in the slicer. Although it's interesting that it's only printing at 15 millimeters per second. So I could lower the layer height and it might print just fine because it'll be able to go faster while staying under the volumetric flow limit. Let me try that. Let's print at 0.4. Just for shiggles. Let's see what that gets me. One day, 39 minutes. So it doesn't add that much time. It only adds 2 hours. I don't want to add that 2 hours, but it's not that bad. What if I do 0.5? If I split the difference. I want to keep it under 24 hours. That does it. 23 hours, 41 minutes. So that only adds 45 minutes because it was 22 hours, 56 minutes. Wait a minute, it's using more filament. Why would it use more filament? Now it's saying it's going to use 339 meters of filament. That won't work. Why would the layer height change how much filament is used? Is that a fluke? No. 0.6 only uses 327.9 meters of filament, but 0.5 uses 339. Why would a 0.1 millimeter difference in layer height use 12 meters more filament? That doesn't make any sense. That shouldn't change how much filament is used. What am I missing? How can that use more filament? Where is flow rate for infill? I think I increased the infill flow rate. Well, I guess I really should be changing this to PETG. Prusa Slicer doesn't even have PETG as an option. They have PET, but PET absolutely is not the same thing as PETG. I better just leave it on PLA. No filament overrides. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Extrusion, infill, 0.9. So change that to 0.8. Will that get me back below a kilogram? What? How did the filament usage go up? That doesn't even make any sense. I told it to use less filament and the meters went up. This is not making any sense. I mean, this is straight up not making any sense. I changed the infill from 0.9 millimeter thickness to 0.8 millimeter thickness. Let me try that again. That makes no sense. How? How does thicker infill result in less filament usage? What if I go to 1? Now it goes up. What the fuck is going on? The filament is at 0.9. If I go to 0.8, the meters goes up. If I go to 1.0, the meters go up. That does not make sense. Oh, it does. It's shifting. Oh! Notice how it's not centered anymore. Holy crap. It's because it's okay, because infill is done as a percentage, and when you change the thickness, you change the percentage, which shifts the filament path. And so some paths, it's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense. 0.8, so I have to change my percentage to get back to where it needs to be. Yeah, see? See how it's not centered anymore? Okay. No, it's not because the thickness is changing, it's because the thickness is changing the percentage, and the change in percentage is shifting. Well, it's only logical when you realize it's a chain of connected values. Because where you draw the filament is going to change its length. Okay. Now it's making sense. Okay, infill. So I probably need to go to 2.5%. That's close, but I really would prefer that to be centered. Will it let me do 2.55%? I don't know if it'll let me be that granular. Better. Okay, let's go 2.58%. You see how there's nothing supporting this cup here? I need this. See? I need this circle to sit right on top of that crosshair. I need to move that crosshair right to the middle of that circle. Let's go 2.6%. I need it to go right to the middle of that crosshair right there. That's close. Let's go 2.62%. You see me? Oh, sorry. See, I need this crosshair to be right in the middle of this circle, so that when it draws this part on top, it can actually build it. See, I have these cones. These are the interlocks that allow these things to join together. So I need the infill is the support that allows this to be drawn. So let's go 2.63%, and we should be spot on. There we go, right in the middle. That's what we want. And it went down 317 meters. Good. It's not exactly, I might as well fine tune it. There's no pain in doing it. I might as well get it exactly right. There we go. See how this arc is about the same size as that arc, and this is right in the middle? That's so that when it starts drawing this, it'll actually draw it. Okay, now I understand. Because it's changing the infill. Okay, this is making sense now. And now we are well below, we are 12 meters below what is on a PETG roll. So that will make sure I don't run out of filament. It would suck to get to the 22-hour mark and run out of filament. That would just suck. Okay, so we're good there. Okay. And this is at 0.5. And we're limiting volumetric flow. Okay, let's save it. Save project as. Oh, I do need to make one change. I screwed up the by not having a bevel on the one edge here. Somehow, I don't know how I missed that, but I somehow missed that one bevel edge. And it's too close to the limit of the printer. That bevel really helps. Plus, I can add a tiny brim if I add that bevel. And that tiny brim might make the difference between sticking and not sticking. Can you guys see the screen? Yes, you can. YouTube is what? What's the error? Not receiving enough video. I don't care. Deal with it. Okay. Did I yeah, I actually did miss it. Huh, look at that. Oh, I know what I did. I beveled my two faces, which does not bevel this edge. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. My bad. So let's take a nice sharp bevel like this. And that looks good to me, I think. Okay. Control D that. Mirror it. And seriously? That looks good to me. So take this and this, join them together, duplicate them, join them with the block, rotate the block 180, and join them with the block again. There we go. Now I have all my bevels. Okay. Excellent. That will help with first layer adhesion. I also want to smooth out my first layer. I have problems with a little bit of peeling. And I also have problems with the fact that Prusa Slicer does not allow me to define where the first layer is, which really pisses me off. So I'm going to have to add a tail to this print to force Prusa Slicer to let me put it where I want it. So how do I do that? I should be able to put a block in. Oh, Jesus Christ. So put you right there and make you... Seriously? Sova SV7. Hang on, let me look at that. Let's see, let's make it 1.8 millimeters. Okay. And let's make it 50 long. There we go. And let's make it only one layer thick, 0.5. And then let's put a circle on the end of it here. 0.5. The problem I'm having is Prusa Slicer keeps making... You're not seeing my screen? Yeah, you should be. It should be showing you my screen. There's me. There's my screen.
TikTok. I was able to buy
Yeah.
and get training.
Get new pepperoni stuffed cheese
come
and butter
on.
any 2 or more mix and match items for just $6.99 each.
Oh. That's not live. There we go. You see the screen.
That's not live.
Beatles Cuber, thank you for the $2.70. I appreciate that. So what I'm doing here is Prusa Slicer keeps starting my print right here on this corner. And that's the worst place to start the layer, because the start and stop point are where it tends to pull the filament off the bed. Although with the hotter bed, I seem to not have that problem anymore, but either which way, by adding this little pigtail, I'm going to force Prusa Slicer to start out here, hopefully. And then when, oh, it's changed my damn chat. I do not want live chat. I want all messages. So I'm trying to force Prusa Slicer to start here instead of starting here. And so Prusa Slicer appears to want to do the furthest point that's close to you, to your 0 point, to 0, 0 on the bed. So by adding this, Prusa Slicer should start here instead of starting here. So this is exaggerated. I probably don't need this big of one. I could probably make this half the size, but I want to exaggerate this to see what happens, to see what it does. Let's make this a little smaller though. Oh wait, this needs to be bigger, since I'm doing 2 perimeters. 3.2, so let's make it 3.5 millimeters thick. Although I think I'm going to go to 3 perimeters. No, I can't do 3 perimeters. Prusa Slicer doesn't have multi-process. So there's no way for me to tell Prusa Slicer to do 3 perimeters on the first layer, but 2 perimeters for the rest of the print. As far as I know, there's no way to tell Prusa Slicer to do that. Now what I need to do is to connect these 2 layers for the first layer. So we're going to add a box like this, and bring that box in like this, and bring this to 0.02. There we go, Control D, and we'll bring this one over here. There we go. That is close enough. And then make this. Now that we're starting to get it to work, I'm going to start adding these. These are my optimizations that I'm adding. 0.5. So right now, when it prints the first layer, let me show you. See you later, Beatles Cuber. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it, man. So when it prints this print, let's see here. Where's the origin point? Oh, this one's the wrong way anyway. I got to change this. It's going to start the print right here, because that's the closest point to 0, 0. But I don't want it starting on a corner. Starting on a 90-degree corner is just a really good way of having it peel up the print. I want the start point in the middle of the layer. After the first layer, I don't give a shit where it puts the start point. But that first layer, I want it in the middle of a long straight. I don't want it starting at a corner like this. So what we're doing is we're adding something to the print to trick it, to convince it to put its start point somewhere else. Now, the other thing is, this print is made up of 4 distinct constructs. You have the outer perimeter, then you have this circle, then you have this circle, and then you have the infill. I'm adding a little bit of vase mode trickery to this to cause it to only have 2 constructs to make the entire first layer. So these 2 circles will be part of the first layer. That's going to cause a little bit of extra plastic to be added to the first layer. I don't care. That will be fine. But you'll see what that does in a moment. So these cuts right here will connect these 2 circles with this outer layer, which will, so now instead of draw this, retract, come here, draw this, retract, come here, draw this. Instead, it's going to draw this outside perimeter and then continue inside here in one continuous motion, drawing all of this in one continuous motion. And that will greatly increase the reliability of that first layer, because stops and retractions are where it's going to tend to peel. So the more you can avoid doing that, the better. Now, something else I can do here, I can move this closer to the corner like this, and I could bring this in like that, and then just rotate it. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm now making the start point is probably going to be right about here, because that's going to be the closest point to 0, 0. If this trick works, maybe Precise is smart enough to see around this, but if this trick works, the start point should be here, which means my actual start point will now be here. So I don't have to worry about that first layer being on the corner. I don't want it on the corner. And we'll see if that works. Alright, let's try to join this. There we go. Now we have that piece there. We have our 2 little cuts. We have all of our proper bevels. We should be good to go. Let's try it. Build block. Nope. We're going to call this one V3. Export. Yeah, when you're an obsessive compulsive vase mode printer, you learn all kinds of neat little tricks. The more you can avoid retractions, the more you can eliminate the need for retraction. I probably should make that cut go all the way through the entire print. That would probably be ideal, and I could probably do it on a fill line, and that would eliminate sloppy retractions in the whole print. But I'm just, let's see what happens with this first, because that's going to add mass. If I do that, it's going to make the model heavier. Yeah, the more you can make that first layer all one single continuous extrusion, the better off you are. Nothing's worse than, spending 5 minutes while it prints that giant outer perimeter, and then it fucks up one of the circles and you got to start over. Because you know it's going to fail. You got to peel it off and start over. So by making it one continuous extrusion, not only do you reduce the probability of that happening, Yeah, it helps you make things more efficient. It helps you optimize, which is nice. Okay, so let's take our profile here. Let's first, we are saved. Okay. Let's delete that and bring in V3. Downloads, build block V3. Okay, we need to rotate. The size, rotate, relative, 90 degrees. Oh, nope, wrong way. Undo. We need to go, for some reason, negative 90. Okay, so now what I've done is hopefully I've tricked it into starting here instead of starting here. And because I have this channel running up to here, that will effectively make my start point here. And that's what I want. So let's slice it and see what it does. We are 326 meters. Oh, that's close. Oh, that's so close. I might have to try to. Oh no, my infill is off now. Why would the infill pattern be changed? This is fucking up the infill pattern. The infill pattern is based on a global. And because this, it's shifted my entire infill pattern. Shit. That's not going to work. You see, in Simplified 3D, the first layer would be a completely different set of settings from the second layer. I can get away with that. But in here, I can't get away with that. So let's do that. Let's do this. So let's do 5 by 5. Let's rotate more. Okay. Let's bring you all the way in here. If I can bring it within the profile, that would be even better. And then bring you in here like this. That's not what I want. It is away from the start point, but it's kind of pointless at this point. Let's just get rid of it. Alright. That trick's not going to work because it's messing up my infill. No, you can't make your own infill design. That would take a ridiculous amount of work. And not only that, but it wouldn't work. Because, okay. Something that is important to realize, and this is why it can't work. Hang on, let me show you. But that cannot work, and I'm going to show you why. Well, theoretically it could work. It cannot work easily. There we go. 315 meters. Perfect. We're good. Okay. Actually, this right here is a perfect example of why you can't make your own infill. Okay. Yellow and orange on your screen is constructs created by me. Okay? Red is not constructs created by me. Red is the infill that the slicer generates. Do you see the difference between my constructs and the infill? And this is only half the problem. My constructs have 4 lines. See here? 1, 2, 3, 4. While the infill has a single line. So any feature I add to the model as a 3D spatialized construct, meaning it's an actual thing that exists. Infill doesn't exist. Infill is a fiction, it's a fantasy, it doesn't exist. The red lines are fictions, they don't exist. The orange and yellow lines actually exist, they're a real thing. So when I print my hand is a real face. The inside of my hand is fake, it doesn't exist. The inside of my hand is called infill, and it's generated by the slicer. Now, because the slicer is generating the infill, it has a different set of rules from everything else that you print. So, when I print this infill, it's not going, if I were to design this infill, so here's what it prints right now when it makes this infill. It does this. It goes this, this, this. Then it comes up to here and it does this, 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 this. Okay? And where else did I miss? Then it comes over to here and it does this, 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 this. That's how it draws the infill. If I were to design this infill, now keep in mind, all of that was a single extrusion. That was 3 extrusions. It was this one, then it was this one, and then it was this one. Okay, so 3 extrusions. Here's what you would get if you designed your own infill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, this might be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see what I'm getting at? Each of these would be 4 layers thick, 4 walls thick, and each of these would be a separate piece. You would quadruple the weight of the model. And you also, when you design something, it can't cross over. But because this is infill and it's dynamically generated by the slicer, it can break rules that you're normally not allowed to break. So when I draw this, I'm breaking the rules because I'm crossing over stuff that's already been printed, which you can't do, but you can do with infill. Okay? So because infill is generated, they can do things like single line that breaks the rules and crosses over itself. Because the infill doesn't actually exist. It's a generated, constructed toolpath. And that allows you to do things like have 2.68% infill, that's only 3 extrusions, that's only 1 wall thick. If you were to generate that, it would now have to follow all the rules in your slicer for any other part of your model. It would not work. Now, there is one place where making your own infill does work, and in fact, this is how they actually do it. Resin printing. It works in resin printing because you're taking a picture of the entire layer all at once. You're going, psst, whole layer done. And then you're going, psst, whole layer done. So you could do that in a resin print, an MSLA resin print. You can't do that in a G-code based print that has a toolpath because you have to perform some tricks to make infill work that you can't use those tricks when you do perimeters. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, that neat idea. But and plus, could you imagine the nightmare of trying to design your own infill? Oh my god! Just shove bamboo under my nails and pull my fingers off now. Oh my god, that'd be a nightmare. Okay, so but yeah, good idea, but it wouldn't work because of the way it works. Well, because it has to generate a toolpath. And you can see it here. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. So you can see right there? Now this is something I wish Simplify 3D would do, and it doesn't. You see this extra little bit here? See that extra bit of red there? That's called an anchor. It's called an infill anchor, and it's a setting that I wish Simplify 3D had because it works insanely well. What's one problem you sometimes have with infill? Draw, 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 stop, retract, move, push, begin drawing again. But when you stop, retract, move, and begin drawing again, sometimes it's oozed out a little bit of plastic in the travel move, especially when you're doing big, fat, loose infill prints like this. And so sometimes the first millimeter or two of the print, there's no plastic there because it oozed out during the travel move. And the result is the infill disconnects. You can see I hope you can see my mouse there. The infill won't be connected here. You'll see that in your print a lot. You'll see just that one start point on the infill never forms right. And that's because there was an oozing that occurred between where it was and where it went to start your infill. And so when it pushed the plastic out, nothing came out for about a millimeter or two because it had oozed out during your travel move. So this is basically a sacrificial purge. This anchor guarantees that if there's a incorrect amount of plastic, if some plastic oozed out during your travel move, and so when you start printing again, it's not actually printing for a millimeter or two, it's not part of your actual infill, it's part of this anchor. And so by the time the G-code gets to this point here, where it's actually going to start drawing your infill, it has purged the nozzle. It has gotten the flow going again. And if it's not enough, you can increase the size of this anchor. Like I increased this to 20 millimeters, I think, or 30 millimeters or something like that. But it works insanely well. It is a beautiful feature that all slicers should have. I love that feature. So if you look at this carefully, we can actually path out what it's done here. If this was something I made, it can go from here to here to here, but then it could not pass over to here. It would have to stop. Now I could go over to here, or I could go over to here. But either which way, I would have to stop when I got here, or stop when I got here. But because this is infill, we can break the rules, because this is generated path. We can just tell the G-code, oh, don't worry about the fact that there's a wall there. It doesn't exist. There's no wall there. Keep going. Yep, see, you went right through it. And so that's what it does. Because the fewer times you can retract during the infill, the more stable your infill will be. Retractions are the enemy. They're the devil, they're Satan, they're evil. The less you can retract, the better. That's why vase mode prints look so clean. So this one starts here, and it goes over to here, then it comes over to here, then it goes over to here, over to here, over to here, then it comes over here, over to here, over to here, then it comes over here. It does a little extra here to avoid a retraction because now it can start this segment. Come over here, come over here, whoop. Come over to here, over to here, over to here, over to here, over to here. I just did all of that infill with one move. And now I only have to let go and come over here and do this little piece that I couldn't get. So this thing was smart enough to be able to do my infill with 2 G-code paths. All this with 2 G-code paths. That is fantastic. Very, very stable. Now you can see what I did with my first layer with that little trick. So now instead of printing this square and then printing this circle and then printing this circle, now the square and the 2 circles are all one piece. So it's going to start here and it's going to print this outside, and then instead of stopping, retracting, and moving, it's just going to keep printing. It's going to come straight inside here, print that, come back out, come straight inside here, print that, come back out, and then it's going to do the second wall. So much more efficient. Way, way more efficient. And that's only for the first layer. As you can see, that goes away after we print the first layer. It's gone. That's just for that first layer, to make sure that first layer goes down nice and smooth. Nice and slick and smooth. Now here's the other cool thing what we're going to do. Skirt and brim. We are going to add a brim. Outer brim only. Brim width. Let's make the brim width I want it to be 2, so it's 1.6. So 1.6 millimeters. And let's do a 0.2 separation. The 0.2 separation will allow me to it'll provide a small gap, but it's actually going to be 0 because of squish. So let's see what that looks like. And maybe the brim will trick it into starting in a different location. Now I can add more brim to this, as long as I don't go outside of that area right there. So let's make it 2.4. I'm going to do that in a second, 3D Medic. Hang on. 2.4. That should give me 3 lines. Yes. So there's a 3-line brim and then my part. There should not be... Oh, it's doing a brim on the inside even though it doesn't need to. That's because technically the inside here... Okay, I don't want that. Is there any way for me to stop it from doing that? Because that means it has to actually jump from here to here to print that brim. That might actually be counterproductive. Is there, what's a modifier? How do I do that? If I can add a modifier here and tell it no brim on this part, so it only prints this outer brim here. Because technically this is outer wall because I connected them together. Let's see. I saw that somewhere. Where did I see that? Is this it? Seam painting. Hey Sean, how are you doing? So it's not that. Not measure. It's not paint on support. How do you do... See, that's something I've never done. How do you do the modifier thing? File. Right click. Add modifier. Slab. How do I change the shape? How do I change the shape of the... Maybe I can't use a slab. Add modifier, box. It does not give me an option to do that. How do I change the... Oh, maybe I have to do this. Ah! Okay. Ah, come on! Stop being a dick. It's shifting it. I need to stop all this. Is there... Okay, there it goes. Center. Scale. Okay, I gotta do it. This is a really shitty scaler system. Okay. Now, how do I change the settings for this? Okay, so now my modifier thingamajiggy is in there. Are the settings actually separate? Add settings. What's it doing here? I need... What I need is skirts and brim. I added the shape. Here's the modifier. But I don't see skirts and brim isn't an option. I haven't tried Orca Slicer yet, no. Layers and perimeter. Bottom solid layer, perimeters, top solid layers. I need to change brim. So there's a limited number of things you can change, so I can't change the brim settings. Let's try a search. Prusa Slicer, modifier, brim. Brim as a modifier. No, I have the opposite problem. I need to remove a brim. Okay, looks like that okay, so there is no way to do that. Okay, so it's not an option yet. That's a pity. That would have been pretty cool. Okay. So I can't use a brim because that's going to cause a travel move, which defeats the entire point of all the little tweaks I just did. Okay, so no brim. Or outer brim only, inner brim only. No, see, that's not going to work. Yeah, I just looked it up. There's no option to do it that way. So because it's trying to add a brim to the inside, which is valid because the inside is part of the, you know, what it's doing is legal. It's because of my little trick that I broke that feature. Because I connected the inside and the outside here, that means that technically this is part of the outside of the model, not part of the inside of the model. So it is correctly putting a brim on that part of the model. I think Simplify 3D is smart enough to see the difference here, and it doesn't put a brim here. I think Simplify 3D does that. I'm not sure. I'll have to test that. Alright, let's double check and make sure the infill is in the correct spot. Yes, it is. We are directly quad secting the circle here so that when we get up to this next part, it has something to build on. I just need to make sure the infill is in the correct place to allow it to build this next cone, which is the top part of the model. Perfect. Alright, good. Somebody wanted to see the tool path. Is there any way I could change the size? I'd like to make more of the screen that and less of the screen this. But there does not appear... Oh, wait a minute. I can grab that? No, I can't. There doesn't appear to be a way to alter the size of this. I could probably shrink that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there we go. And ooh, it's not starting. It's starting in the middle. Look at that. Excellent. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know how it's doing that, but I'm okay with that. Excellent. Because if it's going to munge up something, I'd rather it munge up that circle in the middle because that's not structurally relevant. What I want is that. This is what I want. I want my outside perimeter clean. It might even be technically better if I were to connect these two here instead of here, so my outer perimeter will be unbroken except in one spot. But I think this will be okay. I think this will be perfectly fine. Oh, I'm happy with that. I'm thrilled with that. And then here we're doing the second perimeter. Everything should fuse together, and then it draws its infill. Excellent. I say go. So save project. Actually save project as, because this is V3. Build block V3. So does anybody know where set target temperature is? The setting is called set target temperature, but when I search for target, I can't find it. But I've changed it. I know it's here. If you look at the G code, I can show you where it's at. Here we go. It's this right here. Set temporary nozzle temp to prevent oozing. Oh, where is oozing settings? It is an anti-oozing setting. Ooze prevention enable. Nope, that's not it. No, it's not G code start. I know what you're talking about. You are talking about. Well, I'll show you what you're talking about. You're talking about this, and yes, that's where it is. But there's a box somewhere. There's one of these little boxes here, like this, where I can type in that temperature. I know it's there. I've used it. I just can't find it. I don't know where it is. There's a little box somewhere where I set that. Did I really set it here? Is this where I changed it? Huh. Also, where is start layer height? It always uses the wrong value for the start layer. It's too damn close to the bed. Change the test. What? Yeah, I know, but I remember a little box like this, and I typed in 250. I can't find that. Unless I imagined it somehow. Okay, where is first layer? Layer height limits, 0.6. No, we need to make this 0.5 now. Layer height on top, hang on. Nozzle diameter 1 millimeter, yes. Print settings, layers. Layer height. But see, it's not. This is not, it's not doing this. I'll show you what I mean. I had to go in manually. Oh, maybe it wasn't that it was doing it. It was the height for the purge line. That's the one that was not being, it was too close to the bed. I don't care about any of that. Stabilize, prime the nozzle. Yeah, see this one here. G1 0.6. I had to change this manually because it had it as 0.28. For some reason it was 0.28 and I had to change it in text editor like this because it would even though I had first layer set as 0.5, the purge line was still I'll show you what I mean. Where was that? Custom G code. Prime. Here we go. Yeah, see? See? G1 Z 0.28. Now, will this stick if I change it there? Let's make that 0.4 for a good squish. Is there any way I can make this go away? Like, why won't this stupid fucking box go away? There doesn't appear to be a way to make this box go away. There it goes. It finally went away. Change the save, copy, and... Of course I can't fucking see what you're putting there. Because that stupid fucking heart. And rename. Well, I want it to, I want that to be changed from now on. So I don't have to keep coming in here and messing with it. So it looks like if I change it in here, it should stay. I think that'll work. Alright, general. Extrude 1. 0.5. Is it in here? This is all 0.8. That's good. 23% overlap is fine. Bridge flow rate 1. Stop changing my bridge flow rate. Only an idiot wants to be less. I'm not going to mess with anything else. Printer settings, general. Where is temperatures? There it is. There it is. Okay, so you need to be 90, 90, 245, 245. Okay. See, mass of your model is determined by this setting and this setting. The mass is a calculated value, not a real value. However, meters is a real value. If it says it'll be 327.9 meters, it will be 327.9 meters. However, if it says it's going to be 977 grams, there's no guarantee it's going to be 977 grams because that's going to be predicated on this value being correct, this value being correct, and this value could actually change depending on the color of the filament. So whatever fill they're putting in that filament could actually change the density. And when you're talking about having that much filament left, that could be the difference between whether it works or not. So they really need to use meters. Okay, let's see if that actually saves it. Okay, slice. Okay, that first layer looks clean. We're at 316 meters, 942 grams. I am totally happy with that. We have our, right there, we have our support for our top cone shoulders. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I can alter. I can use the modifier to alter the first layer, can't I? Do I want to go through the hassle of messing with that? It wouldn't be that hard. Let's try it. Add modifier. We're going to add a slab. Okay. We're going to alter its size. This is not going to work. Here it is. Height 0.5. Did it delete the slab? So the slab is not allowed to be that thin? Generic slab, there we go. It's just hiding it. Let's see. Layers and perimeters. 0. Let's do 4 perimeters. Oh, sorry. So I changed this generic slab to be 0.5 millimeters thick, but it appears to have made it disappear, but I'm assuming it's still there. Oh, wait a minute. How do I change the... Oh, it scaled it all. How do I change this? Okay. So I need to make this, I need to unlock it. I need to make this 300 by 300 by 0.5. Now, how do I change the height? Position, 0 millimeters. There we go. That's what I want. Okay. So now, layers and perimeters, 4 perimeters. So the first layer should be 4 perimeters, and then the rest will be 2 perimeters. Let's see if that works. Because that'll give me a nice solid base. Oh yeah, I think that worked. And we only added 0.1 meters. Oh yes, that's exactly what I want. So now I got 4 perimeters for my first layer, which should make that much stronger. It should make that a much stiffer layer. Now the other thing that I might want to do is I might want to add a curve. Or a set of mouse ears to that first layer so it's not so pointy. Pointy corners are going to be more prone to warping than curved corners. So if I could add just a little bit of curve to that first layer, it should be as simple as, come on, come on, come on. I hate that auto stick function. It's really annoying sometimes. Cylinder. Let's increase the number of sides. Let's make you 0.5 thick. Come on. And then let's make you 4x4. I think I can get away with making that bigger. Let's do 6x6. All I need to do is to make it not. Let's go 0.25 on the scale there. There. I just need it to not be I don't like what it's doing. I don't like the weird bump out. But I don't think there's anything I can do about it. It's just a first layer thing, so it's not that important. Alright. Control D, D, D. Now I can drag one of these over here. That's fine. You can grab one of these and come on. One of you over here and one of you over here. Well, I want to make this so other people can print it as well, so I want to be able to use the simplest slicer settings I can. And I also need to make sure that the mouse ears stay inside the profile of the model, because this model is bumping right up against the limits of a 334. So if I'm not careful, I'll go too big. See, I have to, that's why I have them so embedded, so they don't go past this edge here. I gotta make sure they stay inside that limit. And I don't trust the slicer to do that, because the slicer will perform illegal actions if you tell it to. They're usually pretty good at catching it, but especially when it comes to things like skirts and brims, they will very gladly put those outside of your printable area and say, well, it's not my fault you did that, you dumbass. Yeah, they could be assholes. I love the fact that I figured out that modifier thing. That's wonderful. Oh no, it deleted the modifier. You scumbag. Why can't you leave the... It's part of the model. That's annoying. Yes, I know, but then I have to depend on the person doing it correctly. If I do it myself, they can't do it wrong. Minus 90. Center. Add modifier. Modifier. Slab. Scale. And we just turn off the slider. We make you 0. We make you 300 by 300 by 0.5. What the? Those are not, that's not what I typed. Where the hell did those numbers come from? I didn't type those numbers. Do as you're told, punk. Alrighty. Layers and perimeters. 4 perimeters. Slice now. Do not disobey, or you will be eaten. Much better. Okay, so... Oh, it actually smoothed it out pretty nicely. So now we have a nice little mouse ear making up the corner. And the moment you go up to layer 2, that goes away, and it just prints the 2 perimeters like it's supposed to, right on top of the mouse ears. Perfect. I love that. And now we have just our 2 perimeters all the way up. Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. Now, what's the first layer start point look like? Please tell me it's in the middle. It is. Yes, 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 yes. I like it, I like it, I like it. All right, that looks good. We are 316 meters, 943 grams. So we are well within the scope. Hey, Richard. Very, very nice. And that 4 perimeter start should give me a nice, clean first layer. And that first layer should have a higher probability of staying put. Okay. And the fact that it starts here means it has to draw all of this before it gets to this corner. And so as long as these corners go down clean, it should stay put, I hope. Okay. 22 hours and 23 minutes. That sucks, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm betting, does PETG play well with a volcano hot end? So if I put a volcano and a CHT on there, do you think I can get it up to 15 or 16 cubic millimeters? Or is PETG just not going to like that? Well, what I did was I saved the entire project. Boom. So now everything I saved is part of this project. So all I have to do is open this project to make whatever changes I want to make. I wish there was a way to make the modifier global so that I can delete the part and replace the part without having to regenerate the modifier. Because right now, if I is there a way to copy it? No. Oh, there is a replace with STL option here. If I do that, will that keep the modifier? Let's try it. Replace with STL. Let's replace with the other version. Yes! So there you go. There's the old version without the mouse ears. I can right click, go replace with STL, and replace it with the new version. And it keeps the modifier. Nice. Good, 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 good. I just can't delete the modifier on the screen because that deletes the... I can't delete the object on the screen because that deletes the modifier. But if I come into this section here and I right-click the STL file and I select Replace with STL, that allows me to replace the STL without deleting my modifier. Very, very nice. I like it, I like it, I like it. Okay. Let's save the project again. All right. Let's go over it again. 0.8 throughout. 20% overlap is fine. Bridge flow of 1 is fine, although there should be no bridging here. That looks good. 0.5, 0.5. Hopefully that'll improve layer adhesion a little bit. 2 perimeters, that's what I want. No top and bottom. This all looks fine. We're not using fuzzy skin. The infill, it's 2.68%, I think. It actually doesn't show it. You can enter a decimal amount, but it doesn't show the decimal amount. That's a problem, because if I forget what that infill amount is, I got to do it by experimentation again. I'm going to submit a bug report for that. I need to be able to add fine infill amounts, but it needs to show it. It's there, it's just not showing it. What the hell was that? Oh, stupid animation. Oh, here's the infill anchor. Maximum length of infill anchor. So that is a wonderful feature. What do you mean it scrapes? So tell me what's happening when you say it scrapes, Braden. Solid infill is fine. Skirt and brim are fine. We have 4 perimeters now, and I can increase the number of perimeters if I want with almost impunity. Let's see. Everything is 50 millimeters per second. So if we're actually only hitting 15 millimeters per second, then I should be able to change all of this to 15 and get the same number. Let's see what happens. Oh no, it went up. So some parts of the model are printing faster? Well, that's interesting. Oh, it's maxing out at 5 for some reason. Why would it be maxing out at 5? That's weird. I told it to go to 10, but it's maxing at 5. Alright, let's try doubling this. Ah, come on. Okay. Let's see what that does. You have to tell me what scrape means. I don't understand what you mean by scrape. You gotta tell me what you mean by that. Are you saying it's gouging your print bed? Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we're hitting 10. And 22 hours, 23 minutes. Okay. So I have to set it for 30 in order to hit 10 cubic millimeters. Speed. Ooh. Speed. Oh, so we are hitting 30. So 28.9 is the maximum speed I can go without violating the 10 cubic millimeters. So if I set it all for 29, the time shouldn't change. $28.9. 22, 23. Okay, so 30 millimeters per second, 29 millimeters per second is the max. Okay, good. All right, save project. So Braden, when you say scraping, do you mean it's scraping your print bed? It's putting a hole in your print bed, or do you mean it's the print is hitting itself as it prints? Like you're knocking over your print or you're crashing through your own print. Which one do you mean? Let's see. So now we're going to print build block V3. And this one is PETG. Save. Alrighty, now let's go back into here. Let's change this to 230, 230. So let's try 65. 65 and 65. Custom G code. Nope, not there. Is it under print? Nope, printer. Custom G code. Here we go. There it is, 240. Set that to 230. Okay. Now this is PLA. LA. Save. Where did I have cooling set to? Cooling. All right, we wanted 100 for that, but we do not want 100 for PETG. So let's reload recent projects. V3, discard all changes, discard all changes. Now we should be back to oh, I screwed something up. Yeah, no, this is what I have to change right here. 240 is good. Okay. General. Extruder. It's fine. Filament. Yeah, 245, 90. That means I want this to be 245. Here we go. 245. Set temporary nozzle temperature. Okay. Oh yeah, Fragger, check this out. First, I had a PLA print delaminate on me. Check this out. You're gonna love this. So, look at that. It's split. This is PLA, and it freaking split on me. Look at that. You think that's bad? Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. You want. This is an angry plastic, is what this is. Look at that. That's not under extrusion. That printed fine. That was after it printed a section, those sections began to tear themselves apart. This print pulled itself apart as it was printing. The warping was so bad and the layer adhesion was bad enough that the print ripped itself apart as it was printing. Incredible. Yeah, I'm totally okay with Asker's message, but it wouldn't let me hit show. Hit show. Oh, another moderator token. Just, you know, those kind of messages are fine. You know, someone saying, oh shit, doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, it just, holy shit. And that's why it got better when I slowed down. Look how bad it is down here. Look how bad it is down here, and it's not as bad up here. It's because I slowed down, but I didn't slow down enough. Yeah, hit show. It's totally fine. Why isn't that working? Oh, for Christ's sake, go away. Come on. There it is. No, it wasn't the age of the filament. It was, I was printing too fast. I was printing a 0.8 millimeter width with a 0.6 millimeter layer height, and I was pushing faster than 15 cubic millimeters a second. And apparently, 15 cubic millimeters a second is bad for PETG. That's right on the limit for PLA, and really, really bad for PETG. PETG likes being 10 cubic millimeters. So I had to lower the speed. So I will try this again tonight, and we will see what kind of print I get. But yeah, that's hilarious. It just ripped itself apart. And even, obviously, I was even pushing PLA, since even the PLA delaminated itself, but only once. That spot right there. So yeah, it's holding together. So this is a usable block. But so yeah, I'm just gonna run them all at 10 millimeters, at 10 cubic millimeters, whether it's PLA or PETG. Nice. But yeah, that I pissed it off. I think I screwed this up. I think I've been changing this, and I shouldn't have been. Let me check one of the other files. Let me put this so you guys can see what I'm doing. Did I screw that up? Let's see. No, it is supposed to be 240. That's okay then. Okay, I didn't screw that up. All right. So I set this to 245. You know something? Why bump up against the limit? Let's slow it down a little bit. You know, why push right up against the wall? There's a reason I came back in here. What did I want to change? Any of my printers. I happen to be using the longer LK5 Pro right now. But Chiron, LK5 Pro, whatever I'm using, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. I just stopped. I stopped trying to mess with this thing that says PLA. I'm just making my settings the way I want. Now, I wanted to change something in here. I came back to the PETG profile for a reason. Oh, cooling. That's right, cooling. We need to change the cooling to 25%, 25%. Disable fan for first 3 layers. Bridging fan speed, 25% as well. Leave it all 25%. You want some cooling, but not a lot. Okay. I can always bump it up if I need to, but that's what I wanted to change. File, save project. Okay. There we go. Infill looks good. Infill is aligned correctly. First layer is 4 perimeters. Then we switch to 2. So that's my bed adhesion. We are 316.23 meters, 943 grams. I like to be within 5 or 6% if I can, so that I have a little bit of slack for mistakes. So we should be fine for that. And I might try one with some atomic PETG, just because I do have 2 rolls of this orange. Which one's more full? What the hell? They're different size rolls. I didn't know Atomic had different size rolls. This roll's actually bigger. Who the hell would have guessed? Yeah, that roll's actually thicker. It's weird, I got 2 rolls of clear orange, but this roll is actually thinner than this roll. There's actually a thickness difference between these 2 rolls. Look at that. What the hell? I need to make sure I have an actual kilogram. Because these are the cast-off rolls. You know, the transition rolls, end of rolls, incomplete rolls. You know, you pay $150 and you get 10 rolls or something like that. And they guarantee you'll get at least 7 kilograms of plastic. So that's like $20 a kilo for atomic filament. Hell yes. But this looks like a full roll. But how do I know? It certainly looks like a full roll to me. I can't even go online and get the mass of the spool because it's a different size spool. So I don't know if the spool weight will be accurate, since this is actually a different size spool. Made with pride in USA, filament and spool. It doesn't tell me what the spool mass is. Well, I have 2 rolls of it, so, and I got 23 hours, so if it looks like it's going to run out, I could just feed in the second roll. See, that one has clearly a little bit less than this one. Okay, these are the same size roll. Okay. No, these are end of rolls, transition rolls, incomplete rolls. That's why it's called mystery box, PETG. So all they'll guarantee you is you're going to get 7 kilograms at least. You pay $150, you get like 10 or so random rolls of filament, but they guarantee you'll get at least 7 kilograms. So a lot of these rolls are literally incomplete. Like here, you see this one here? You can see how this one's like half a roll. See how it's only like half a roll? This is clear. Yeah, crystal clear. So that's like, half a roll of filament. So because of that, there's no real metrics. The diameter might be a hair off, but within tolerances. But the point is, I get some cool colors. Now, I don't know if this was an accident or if they honored my request, but I asked them to give me no black. That's all I asked. I was like, just don't give me any black. I can't use black. Black is no good. Black is a radiation absorber. Anything you print in black is going to get hot if you stick it outside. And I got a box with no black. I had some dark colors. I got some graphite and stuff like that, but no black. So I don't know if that was an accident or if they honored my request. I don't know, but hopefully they do because I can't use black. But yeah, I'm going to try this. I'd like to see how some atomic prints and go from there. That would also explain why my prints were coming out thin. I was pushing too much volume through the hot end. I have a feeling that when I sliced with Simplify 3D, it was being a little more aggressive than Prusa in slowing down my print. So I thought I was printing so fast, but I wasn't, because the slicer was automatically slowing it down. And that would explain why it came out right. Braden, you never got back to me on your printer scraping. Are you still there, Braden? I still need to know what you mean by it's scraping. Yeah, I love Atomic Filament. They're a good company. They're a U.S. company. They make some badass colors. Their filament's expensive. You're going to pay $30 to $35 a kilogram. Not quite as expensive as the $50 a kilogram of protopasta, but that protopasta is that's what do you call that? That's bespoke filament. They're making very custom stuff at that point. For your speed, you did see the... Of course, I can't see it on the phone. Oh, it's covered here. The auto speed section in Prusa Slicer. I don't know what you mean by auto speed section. Let me switch to screen. This is what I have. I have it set for 28 millimeters per second for everything. I just overrode everything except for 28 millimeters per second. But also, was it under advanced? We have volumetric flow limited to 10 cubic millimeters a second. I don't remember where it was. Somebody told me where it was. We have we limited volumetric flow. Here it is. Max volumetric flow, 10 cubic millimeters a second. And I actually slowed it down a little bit below that. I brought it down to 28 millimeters a second, which maxes me at 9.7 cubic millimeters a second, which should be okay. And that's nice. It looks like we're basically printing the entire print at the same speed. We're basically making the whole thing at a fixed speed, which is nice because that means I can very easily tweak this by just changing the speed, the flow rate, the feed rate on the printer. So if I want to go down to 9.5 cubic millimeters, that would be 5%. Well, no, it would be like 9.3. I can just go to 95% on the printer. So I was just going too fast. That makes sense now. The under extrusion makes sense now. The cracking makes sense now. All of it makes sense now. It all makes sense as to why it was doing that. So, okay. I like it. I'm happy with it. This is PETG. Yes. So now I have one for PLA and one for PETG. I just pick PLA or PETG based on whatever roll of filament I have in there, because there's several projects that I want to make with these blocks. I want to I also have it's my understanding PEI works very well for PETG. So I ordered a PEI flex plate for my CR6SE. Got one for $11. I got a magnetic flex plate with a steel flex plate, not that fucking flexible bullshit. But yep, we found that. That's what we were changing. Filament advanced. Here it is. Max volumetric speed, 10 cubic millimeters a second. Now I find it weird that they don't have a PETG option in here. They have a PET option, but PET is not the same thing as PETG. They are very different. But they have no PETG option, which is very weird. But it doesn't matter. We manually configured it. Oh, man. People say it can stick too well to PEI, but that's not a problem for me since I'm printing a very small footprint. So I'm not, the bottom layer is just this. The bottom layer I'm printing is just this little line here and this little line here. It's just this little loop right here. So I'm not going to have a problem with that tearing up the PEI. You have those kind of adhesion problems when you try to print a large surface area as your first layer, but I'm printing a very small surface area. And that also explains why these parts were cracking on me. I was going too fast. Yeah, but it's not, because PET actually exists. You can print PET. So it's definitely not the same thing. So if PET equals PETG to Prusa, then where's PET? You see what I mean? Because I definitely eventually want to get into recycling soda bottles into filament. I really absolutely love the idea of that. And even though it'd be a pain in the ass, it might. Although I'll probably just chip these. I'm thinking about also keeping these. Because these bottles are so that by the way is HDPE. Can I get the other part off? I'll probably just have to cut this whole part off because this part is thick, but this part here is really thin. I'm betting if I flatten this, I can feed that through a crosscut shredder. And I actually happen to have a t-shirt press. I have not used it yet, but I have one of those, for making t-shirts. And there's a guy that shows you can, if you shred up the plastic fine enough, you can melt that plastic together on a t-shirt press and make panels. You can make panels by recycling this plastic. And I would much, much, much prefer to recycle the plastic. Now, 2-liter bottles, I don't have one handy, but 2-liter bottles, you don't need to shred up to recycle them. You cut the top and bottom off, and then put a slice down the middle, and that's it. You now have a sheet of plastic. There's no need to melt that. It's already a ready-made sheet of plastic. That's how I plan to... Yeah, PET is... This is PET. That's PET. Alright, PETG is a modified version of PET. It's glycol. Polyethyl try-something glycol. But that's PET. PET is a pain in the ass to work with if you're trying to print it. So the G in the PETG makes it easier to print. So that explains why those pieces were cracking. You can see on these prints here, I was running into some issues. Like I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? Kinda. Oh, there it is. There you can see it. See how I'm starting to get little holes and gaps in the print? And I think that was literally because I was going too fast. Simple as that. I was going too fast. So, just gotta slow down. No big deal. Okay. Yeah, it's just glycol is the addition. So 2-liter bottles, I found, because one of my problems is how am I going to make the roof? Well, instead of printing the roof, I'm going to cut out panels from 2-liter bottles and use them as shingles. Literally, put them up like shingles. And so that part won't be as modular as I would like it to be. It's not going to be like 3D printing modular. However, the roof is important. It needs to not leak. I mean, you don't really have an effective shed if your roof leaks. So I really need the roof not to leak. I'm still working on other ideas, but I'm totally okay with adding recycling to the project. You know, if I give up a little bit of 3D printing and modularity, but I add recycling, I'm happy with that. Because recycling is a good thing. So, here's the projects I have that I'm going to be working on. I want to build... Well, obviously, the ultimate project is to build a shed. I want to build at least a 120 square foot shed. That's going to take about $3,500 worth of plastic. You know, at $8 a kilogram. So that's a lot of plastic, because it's about 350 kilograms of plastic. So I'm hoping to get a sponsor to work with that, and that's where we'll just start cranking out these blocks. And the nice thing is, because the way I designed this, these blocks can be assembled. I do not have any of my pegs. I print pegs that fit into here, and these are all beveled edges, so you just pop, you pop those pegs in there, and then the next block can interlock like Legos, like Lincoln Logs. So these will all be interlocking, no screws or anything holding together, no adhesives, no cement. All the blocks will simply, you just build them, drop in your pegs, insert your next layer, drop in your pegs, insert your next layer, and just keep going. So I need to build up support for the project in order to get a filament vendor. You're looking at, let's see, what are you saying? I cannot see that word. I can't see the goddamn word you're typing. Let me add a bunch of crap so I can make your message move up. There we go. Seems as a month's printing time. Yeah. Dream on, buddy. He thinks it's going to be a month's printing time. Try 2.5 years. I'm not kidding. If I only used one printer, it would take 2.5 years to print it all. Well, not quite that long. It's 1 day per block. So how many blocks is it going to use? The blocks are 12 inches. It's going to be 10 by 12. So the perimeter is 10 foot, which is 10 blocks, 12 foot, which is 12 blocks. So that's 20 and 24. So that's 44 blocks. So that's 44 feet or 44 days per layer. Now it's actually a little less. It's 41 because the door is going to be 3 feet and that's going to be a separate print. So it's 41 blocks per layer, not counting the door. So that's 41 days, assuming no failures or hiccups. Now, this is where sponsorship comes in. I actually, theoretically, I have enough filament, but I don't. 80% of my filament is PLA, and half of it is dark colors, which means I cannot use them. I cannot print, I cannot print, like this color, I could print and it would be fine, but if I printed this color, it would probably fail. Because PLA would get too hot in the sun. Solar radiation would the radiation coming from the sun, the warmth you feel on your face. Okay, there's two ways you warm something up. You warm up by conduction, so I touch something and heat transfers between the two things. Okay? And then you have, now technically you have convection, but that's just a sidestep of conduction. You're using the air as the conductor. Okay? So when you go outside in the shade, you are feeling the temperature of the air. But if you ever gone out in the wintertime where it's below freezing, but you can feel the warmth of the sun on your face, but the air is freezing. So what are you feeling? You're feeling radiation. So that is the long wave IR directly from the sun through the atmosphere to your black body surface. And that's how you heat up. So basically the sun is using radiation to heat up the ground, and then the ground conducts that heat to you, and the air conducts that heat to you. But you can also heat up directly from the radiation of the sun. So when you go out in the sun, you feel the heat. Well, so does everything else. That's what makes colors. Colors are literally how much solar radiation are you absorbing. White absorbs very little solar radiation. Black absorbs a whole bunch of solar radiation. That's why a black car gets hot enough to burn your hand in the summertime, but a white car doesn't. So to keep the project cost down, I need to use PLA, but that means I'm limited to light colors like this. I can get away with PLA, I think. I can get away with PLA, only because it's so thick. The wall thickness is 1.6 millimeters thick, two 0.8 millimeter layers, and I have a decent amount of infill inside for structural integrity. I'm probably still going to have a little bit of rippling. That's where this surface will ripple a little bit as it heats up in the sun. I think that's still going to happen, but I don't think it'll result in integrity failure. Meaning I think the structure will be fine. But that means, for example, even this might be too dark if this were PLA. So I have to do bright oranges, not dark oranges, khakis, extremely light grays, off-whites, whites, transparents. Hey, DeWitt, did you see my massacre? It just ripped itself apart on the print bed. Turns out the volumetric flow is too high. I was printing too fast. And so the layer adhesion was compromised, and as the print shrunk, it ripped itself apart. It just shredded itself. It's like, holy shit. But we figured that out now. We figured out how to adjust the slicer settings. So we're back to 23 hours per print. I got to slow down. I am going to look into a volcano hot end to see if I can bump that up. Because Ideally, I would like to get down to 12 hours per print, because that would mean I could do 2 per day. So that would be my ideal. So each layer of the 10 by 12 shed is going to take 41 blocks. That means 41 days. What if I told you I could do it in 10? Well, that's easy. Run 4 printers. If I run 4 printers, I can print 4 blocks per day instead of 1 block per day. But there's a problem with that. I can't afford it. I have 160 fucking printers, and I can't use them because I can't afford the electricity. In fact, now it's worse. Printing PETG, my average power consumption is 280 to 300 watt hours. That's $44 a day in electricity. That means that printer, a month. That means that printer is going to cost me, that's interesting how close that number is to the number of blocks. That's interesting. But it's a little over $40 a month in electricity to run one printer. I mean, did I screw that up? Let's see if I didn't screw that up. So if I'm averaging 300 watt hours, 300 watts per hour times 24 times 365 is 2.6 million watt hours divided by 1,000 to get us to kilowatt hours. Divide this by 12 to get our average monthly, and then times that by 0.147, which is my 24-hour average cost of running the printer. That's not as bad as I thought. That's $32 a month it's going to cost me to run that one printer. So running one single printer, because I now running the smaller printers is about $18, $19 a month. Oh, God. Yeah, well, with prints that take 23 hours, I don't think that'll work. Now, there are some things I am going to try to implement to help with this. So, for example, I believe a couple of my batteries that I'm using as a UPS, I think that they're intelligent enough to, I got to check. I got to see how this works. I believe they are intelligent enough to use solar power first if it's available. So if I plug a solar panel into the battery box and I'm generating 100 watts of power and the printer's drawing 300 watts of power, I think the battery box is smart enough to prioritize the solar power. So it'll draw the 100 watts of solar power and then take 200 watts from the grid, which will effectively reduce my printing cost by $10 a month. Not quite, because it doesn't help at night. But I think that'll work. Now, buying solar panels to do that doesn't make any sense. But if I could do it with what I already have, then I can reduce my power consumption. So I can't run 4 printers simultaneously. That would be that'd be $130 a month. That's more than my electric bill is. That's more than my total electric bill. My average non-winter electric bill is $125 to $130 a month. My average winter electric bill is about $250. Although it'll be less this year because we're just going to suffer and freeze instead of turning on heaters. I'm just going to run the mini split and that's it. Well, the problem is I can't print on cold beds. Not with PETG. That just doesn't work. When I print round objects like my rockets, I can get away with a cold bed. But yeah, exactly. But even then, there's only so much you can do. I mean, there's a few days where you just shiver. I do have a backup heater. I have a kerosene heater. So if the power goes out or we get a really bad cold spell, I can boot up a backup heater. That's actually not true. It is and it isn't. The lack of UV stability in PLA is about as meaningful as the biodegradability of PLA. Is PLA biodegradable? Technically, yes. Will you live long enough to see it biodegrade? No, you will not. It takes industrial composting to biodegrade PLA. It takes an industrial composting process to biodegrade PLA. If you take a piece of PLA and stick it in the ground and come back 5 years later, it'll be as perfect as the day you buried it. Okay? The same thing applies with the UV stability. Is PLA UV stable? No. Are you ever going to see a part fail because of UV stability issues? You won't live long enough. The most you're going to see is the color finish will degrade. I know this because I printed a mount for my electric car charger. So when you drop the end of the J1772 plug for electric car, when you drop that and you break it, it's $125 to replace it. Now resin is completely different. Resin will degrade very rapidly without protection in UV. It continues to cure, it'll crack. You need to protect resin by painting it. But the difference, DeWitt, is the project taking 8 months to finish versus 2.5 years to finish. That's the difference. That's the reason. The total power consumption is going to be the same. But I can't afford $130 per month. I can barely afford $30 per month to run one printer 24/7. I just don't make enough money per month to pay $130 a month to run a printer, to run more printers. I just can't afford it. I can't. Now, how am I going to get around this? So we know it's 41, and I'm going to make it at least 7 foot tall because I do not like short ceilings that bump my head. So that's 7 layers. So that's 7 times 41. 7 times 41 means I need 287 days to print all the blocks. And that's not counting the door, and that's not counting the roof. That's just the 4 walls. 287 days if I never have downtime and I never have a failure. As you can see, I'm averaging 2 blocks a week as I tweak and adjust and figure this out. Now, as we figure this out, it'll become more stable and it'll be more reliable. The issue is not how much power it consumes. It's how many dollars it consumes, which is also not the issue. The issue is the rate at which it consumes those dollars. Okay? You hear me talk about electric cars, right? Okay? How you see these stupid memes about $20,000 to replace your battery, but you spent $50,000 in gasoline. All of a sudden, the $20,000 battery doesn't seem so expensive anymore, does it? When you compare it to $50,000 worth of gasoline. Well, it's still expensive. But why? Because the gasoline doesn't cost me $50,000 all at once. It's $50,000 spread over 20 years. While when your battery goes bad, it's 20 grand right now. If you're lucky, maybe you get a 3-year loan. Okay? Okay, forget about the battery. You're never going to replace the battery in an electric car. Nobody will replace batteries in electric cars. That's not going to be a thing. But that's another topic for another time. The point is, something that's more important than simply the absolute cost is the rate at which it costs you. My income comes in monthly chunks. You know, I get a deposit from Amazon, I get a deposit from YouTube, I get a deposit from Patreon. You know, or if you go to a regular job, your income comes in 2-week chunks. Every 2 weeks, you get a check. Okay? So it's not a matter of how much does it cost me. It's a matter of how much does it cost me over how much time. Exactly, to spread the cost out over larger time. But that's a rip-off all on its own. Running 4 printers simultaneously will incur a monthly cost of $130. I can't afford that. I don't make enough money to be able to pay $130 on top of my regular electric bill to run 4 printers, which means it's a 1.5-year project to print this thing. But if I can run 4 printers, I could do it in 6 months. So what I need is sponsorship. You know, you get a big, exciting project, people might want to sponsor it because it's big and exciting, and it's going to get attention, and it's going to get eyes. But I have to prove it first. You know, there's no way I'm going to get somebody to just send me, 300 kilograms of plastic. They're just not going to do it. Again, does 300 kilograms cost them very much? No, but it's all at once. It's not like you're sending 300 kilograms out to different users throughout an entire year. Now you have one person asking for 300 kilograms all at once. That hurts. So they're going to want to make sure that they're going to get a return on their investment if they sponsor a project like that. So I have to start with a smaller project that I can actually afford to do sort of on my own. So I have a bunch of different projects that I want to start with. Now the good news is, because this is modular, I don't have a cumulative cost. My ultimate cost is 300 kilograms of plastic, but I can build 3 or 4 projects with the same 300 kilograms of plastic. So I can build a doghouse, make a video, show the doghouse. I can then disassemble the doghouse, print some more blocks, and assemble them again into something a little larger, and work my way up. So now some projects are permanent, meaning once I build them, they're there for good, and some projects are temporary. I can build them, take them apart, and build something else. So the first project I'm going to do is a temporary project. It's going to be 80 blocks, which means 80 kilograms. Buying a few kilograms here or there, plus using the kilograms that I have, I should be able to do that. I should be able to successfully accomplish that with what I have. And that should be enough to build up interest in the project and get me sponsors. So, project number 1, once I get the blocks working right. And no roof required. Makes it nice and easy. I have a carport out back. As you guys know, I have my house. And then I have the Connex containers out back behind the house. The steel shipping containers, the C containers that I have behind the house. Why did you turn off? I hate when you do that. And then I have a carport roof between the house and the steel container. So this area here is roofed over. It's covered. I have a barbecue out there. I have a movie screen out there. I have a table for eating out there. So one of the few problems that we have with weather here in New Mexico is straight line winds. It is windy. The problem is most of those jobs are scams. So finding one of those jobs that's legitimate, most employers don't like remote work, and most of the remote work that is available is a scam. So finding a legitimate remote work job is a little bit hard. I'm working on some ideas, but what I need to do is improve my physical condition enough where I can stand for an 8-hour shift. Then I could just go to Harbor Freight, $15 an hour, work 2 days a week, and triple my income. That would be perfect. But right now, I can't physically stand for an 8-hour shift. My legs just won't hold. Although some potential good news, I'm still too heavy to weigh myself, so I have no idea what I weigh. I just know I'm more than 460. Because the biggest scale I can find stops at 460, and I'm heavier than that scale can weigh. However, Michelle lost 21 pounds on top of the original 10 pounds she lost. She went from 355 to 334, which is fucking awesome. But here's the thing: we eat the same thing, so there's at least a somewhat decent chance that if she's losing weight, so am I. Yeah, I'm super proud of her. I'm super, super happy about that. I just hope it was fat and not muscle. I really worry about her lethargy, her lack of activity, and I'm worried about it affecting her badly. But yeah, she was stoked about that, and I told her she needs to be stoked because 22. She lost 10 pounds originally, but that's water. You know, people like us can shit 10 pounds. But another 22 pounds, that's weight loss. That's not noise. That's not wiggling of the needle. That's legit weight loss. I was like, that's an achievement. Now just keep doing it. Stay away from the sugar. Stay away from the sugar. But once I get below 460, then I'll be able to weigh myself. Damn right, it's great for her. I was so happy about that. So the idea is I'm going to the weather. You know, one of the nice things about New Mexico, we don't got tornadoes, we don't got hurricanes, we don't got earthquakes, we don't got floods really, you know, unless you live in the wrong spot. So what we do have though is wind. Lots and lots and lots of wind. I'm talking some nights 60-mile-an-hour winds coming through here. And it's always, always west to east. It's coming off the west coast, over the mountains, and whoosh, straight through Edgewood into the plains in the middle of the U.S. Which can be annoying when you're trying to enjoy the backyard and the wind is like an air tunnel, like a wind tunnel through your backyard. It's kind of annoying. So my first project is to print out, what was it? How many was I going to need? I think it's 20 feet. So I'm going to do like 16 feet, I think. So 16, that means 16 blocks times 10 blocks. So that's 160 blocks. That's 160 kilograms of plastic. So my first idea is, you know, small sponsorships, use the plastic I have, build a wall out back next to my carport to block the wind coming through. That's one of the reasons I want to use transparent filaments, because I do not want to make it a dark space. I want to make sure light can come in. So I want to use as many transparent blocks, you know, blocks that will let light come through as much as I can so that it doesn't make it a dark space. So my first project will be to build that wall, to build that 16-foot wall to block off that one side, just have an opening for a door for the carport. That will fine-tune this process. I can get more printers working even though I can't use them. I can switch from printer to printer. The ultimate idea is to then, when it's working and it looks like it's going to work well, I can then working on getting support for sponsors as the project gains momentum. Get some filament sponsors to donate plastic. I want to try to sell blocks. So the idea will be, you can buy a block, you know, say $100. You give me give me $100, and your logo, website, company logo, whatever, will go on one of these blocks. And well, one of the nice things about living out here is the neighbors are arm's length. I have neighbors, but they're arm's length. So start off running one printer, printing one block per day, and then as I get support and people become interested in the project, I can sell sponsorship blocks to help provide income, and then I can also have electricity sponsors. So the idea would be to eventually have 4 or 5 electricity sponsors, where people who are they'll get like a strip on the wall, there'll be one block strip on the whole wall that'll be just for electricity sponsors, and basically $40 a month, and now I can turn on one more printer. That'll be the idea, so we'll see how that goes. I think it'll be interesting to try. Wind turbines are hard. Wind turbines are not easy. First of all, wind turbines that are affordable don't really make much power, especially since to truly generate. Okay, what something that people don't understand. This is a common misconception about this kind of stuff. People think. I don't even have one handy to show you. A fan, But people think fan, and you grab that fan blade and go, whoop. Well, that was easy. That didn't take much work. Well, that's a misnomer. There are two things you need in a fan to generate power. You need speed, RPM, and you need torque. Okay? You ever hold an alternator for a car? You notice how you can just take the alternator and go wing and spin the alternator? Do you know that alternator consumes 10% of your engine power? Wait a minute. How could something that spins so easily consume 10% of a gasoline engine's power? That's because it spins so easily because you have no load. You're not drawing any power from it. The moment you attempt to draw power from that alternator, the load, meaning the difficulty to spin it, is going to go up dramatically. At one point in Pennsylvania when we were having power issues, long story, I can talk about another time if you want. But anyway, we were in a fight with the electric company. They turned off the power. I was running the freezer and the refrigerator off of a power inverter, a 3,000 watt inverter that I was running off of my minivan. And when both freezers kicked on at the same time, it stalled the engine. The V6 engine in the minivan, it stalled it. The car shut off. The governor couldn't throttle up fast enough because the load came in so quick. And that was because I applied, a nearly 2 kilowatt load to the alternator, and the alternator went and then the engine and the belt went and it stalled. Okay, so you see that windmill turning in the wind outside. If you hooked your cell phone up to it, the windmill would stop because the torque the increase in torque required in order to generate the 10 watts your cell phone required would stop the wind turbine in its tracks. It would just stop. So your wind turbine needs to be large enough to generate enough torque to generate power. To properly generate power, you need a large enough turbine with a smart controller, and it needs to be on a mast, ideally 20 feet above the highest obstacle on your property. That means I need a 30-foot tower to properly mount a wind turbine, even a small one, on the property. Because my highest object is going to be my roof line. The trees are actually shorter than the house. So it needs to be 20 feet higher than that. So basically I need a 30-foot mast that I could bolt to my sea container out back so that the turbine itself is actually 20 feet above the sea container. So that it gets clean wind to spin that turbine with sufficient torque to actually generate power. It's actually really hard. Wind power is far more difficult than people think. There's a reason why they have to replace turbine blades and stuff like that, because these things take a lot of abuse. That's why they have to be the size of a football field in order to be able to turn enough torque. Because you're talking about taking that and making power out of it. So you have to take over a huge surface area in order to generate enough power to actually work. And then worse, turbines only work within a specific RPM range. So not only do you need enough wind to spin the turbine fast enough and with enough torque to actually generate a usable amount of power, you can't spin it too fast. You remember that video of the smoking, burning turbine that eventually collapsed, hit itself, and blew itself into a million pieces? Well, those turbines have collective. Those blades are adjustable. And they will adjust the pitch of those blades to keep them in a fixed RPM range. So when the wind goes down, they decrease the pitch to get more bite, to grab more of that wind to spin it. And when the wind gets too fast, they feather the blades so they don't spin and go over speed. And that wind turbine that blew itself apart, what you saw was it did not feather in the high winds. The collective adjustment broke. And so it spun too fast until the blades warped and whack and hit itself and blew itself into a million pieces. So wind power is genuinely hard, which is why most of us use solar, because it's so easy. You just take this panel and stick it out in the sun, and every couple of months you wash it off. Solar is passive, while wind is very, very involved and active. Wind is really hard. I have a little tiny wind turbine. I think it's a 200-watt turbine or 400-watt turbine. So whatever it's rated for, it probably generates half that amount of power. But I haven't set it up yet because I don't have the ability to set up a mast. I might be able to do 10 foot, so I might try welding a 10-foot mast to the top of my sea container and sticking the wind generator up there. But yeah, that's a bit more complicated than people think. Wind power is not easy. It's nice because it doesn't depend on the sunlight. So even though it's intermittent, you can get in the right location, you can get pretty reliable, consistent power. Like, I was surprised to find out the U.S. has a surprisingly large amount of wind power. U.S. wind power percentage. 10%. 10% of all the electricity we generate here in the U.S. comes from wind. That's impressive. That's a lot of power. I mean, we generate enough wind power energy to power entire lists of countries. I mean, U.S. power production. The U.S. Would you go away? Wow. 4.2 trillion kilowatt hours. In 2022, we generated 4.2 trillion kilowatt hours of power. And 10% of that, so 400 billion kilowatt hours was from wind. There are entire countries that don't use that much power total. So people say, "Oh, we don't do real wind power." Bullshit! We have a lot of wind power. I mean, holy crap, we have a lot of wind power. How much is solar? Only 4.7% is solar. 4.7%. That shows you how effective wind power can be and why those turbines are so gigantic. The wind has the potential to generate more power per square meter of ground area, for how much land you need. Solar takes more land area. And of course, the common problem, you say, well, why don't, okay, the federal government owns 2/3 of the western United States. All this BLM land out here, nothing to do with BLM protests. Bureau of Land Management. I think like half the state of New Mexico is owned by the federal government. It's all protected land. So why don't we just cover a chunk of the desert with solar panels? Because you have transmission distances. It's hard to transfer electricity over distance. That's why we can't have one big giant nuclear reactor power the whole country. Because the losses you would incur transmitting that power across those distances are simply enormous. Yeah, but $1,000 is a fortune. And that doesn't include installation. How much the mast to install a $1,000 wind turbine will probably cost you $4,000 or $5,000. The infrastructure that you'd have to install for that turbine probably costs more than the turbine. A lot more than a turbine. Once you go above 10 feet off the ground, it gets hard. It gets really, really hard. I mean, anybody can build a 10-foot flagpole, and look how many flagpoles get torn down. And all they've got is a flag on the top waving around. Now imagine a 30-foot tower with a wind turbine on top. It's hard. It's not easy. Solar panel, blop, stick the solar panel out there, plug it in. Solar panel's easy, wind hard. So that's actually one of the reasons why AC beat out DC. Before we had a power grid, when we were starting to dabble with electricity here in the U.S., and you had Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison and stuff like that, Edison was pushing for DC power, and Nikola was pushing for AC power. That was when they were electrocuting elephants to show how dangerous DC power was and crap like that. And people were sick. But what eventually won out was the fact that DC is expensive to transmit over distance. The electrical wire, if this is the wire required to send X number of watts of AC current, from the power company to your house. Let's say you need a wire that big, okay? You would need a wire this thick to send it by DC power. DC power thickness, AC power thickness. Big difference. Now you understand, whether you realize it or not, why most solar setups do not run at 12 volts. They run at 60 volts or 150 volts. Because as voltage goes up, current goes down. Volts times amps equals watts. So you can either have more amps and lower volts, or you can have more volts and lower amps. So 12 volts at 1 amp gets you 12 watts. 24 volts only needs half an amp to get you 12 watts. 48 volts only needs a quarter of an amp to get you 12 watts. And what determines how big the wire is? Not voltage. Amps determines how big the wire has to be. So to transmit the kilowatts of power your house needs at 12 or 24 volts would require conductors this big. Or you just lose it all to heating up the wire between you and the power station. But when you jump it up to 400 volts for the high tension line outside, or 1600 volts or whatever it is for those big power lines, now all of a sudden, a wire this big can power a whole town. And that's why AC won. Because AC, both the higher voltage and the alternating nature of the current, reduces the size of the conductor you need to transmit the same amount of power. Now, of course, there's equipment involved in AC current. And that's why your phone doesn't run on AC. Your phone runs on DC. But that's okay, because your phone's drawing 3 watts and the wire is this long. So it's no big deal. It's only when the amperage goes up that DC becomes a problem. So that's the idea. Start off building the wall, show progress, show it works, and then as I gain sponsorship to do more projects, then we move on to other things. We start building the blocks for the shed, but we use the blocks before they're done. So once we have enough blocks to build a little like wood storage crate, we build that and make a video. And then I disassemble that and I build a doghouse. And then I disassemble that and I build a chicken coop. And as I print more and more blocks, we get bigger and bigger until we have the sponsorship necessary to get, 4 or 5 printers going to be able to print a big 10 by 12 building all in one go. On an ice box in a power substation, 460,000 volts. Wow. Woo! A lot of juice. But, so that's the idea to go from there. The ways I plan to fund the project is the starter projects will hopefully develop interest. Once I get that PEI sheet, and now that I know about the volumetric flow issue that I should have known, I'm dumb for not knowing that. I'll get these going again for the smaller shed, the little tool cabinet shed that uses a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. So we'll get that going again. And that one I'd still like to print the roof if I can. And I have some ideas for how to do that. Because I want that to be totally modular. For this big one, I don't mind mixing technologies. If I can mix recycling into it, I'm totally happy with that. The number of these bottles that we go through is ridiculous. We go through 2 cases a month. That's 50 bottles. That's 100 bottles a month easy. I drink 3 a day minimum. Right now, it's actually cheaper for me to buy the water than make the water. The water cases are on sale for $1 off, so $6 a case, and I have a $1.50 coupon, which brings it down to $4.50 a case. How many is that? I think it's 40 bottles. 40 times 16.9 divided by 128. That's 5.2 gallons. No, it'd be cheaper at home. That would cost me $2 to make it home. So I'm paying a little bit to buy the water bottles, but the convenience factor is pretty huge at that smaller price increase, especially because we live off of these little juice packs. And so, one of these juice packs is exactly sized for one of these bottles. Perfect. You wouldn't exist to make the mistake again. The worst is the power lines in between. Because I love the sign that says, "Warning, don't touch this. You're going to die, and you will hurt the entire time you're dying." Oh, that's evil. One of my favorite, I used to torture my brother. He used to do a lot of that kind of work. And he'd be working on an outlet, and I'd come up behind him and go, he'd get so freaking mad. Oh my God, he'd get so mad at me. Oh, I'm evil. Someone had a great meme picture showing a bomb disposal guy working on a bomb, and someone comes up to him with an inflated paper bag. What do you do if you see the bomb guy running? Run faster. You don't want to be anywhere near whatever the hell he's running from. But, I've had fun lately making flies kiss their own ass. I figured out how to make a fly kiss its own ass. I got one of them bug assault guns. And the best thing is when you put the muzzle right in front of the fly and you hit him in the face with a full blast from that far away, his lips visits his ass. It's just a smear mark. I almost shot my cat with my bug assault gun. I was thinking, yeah, you little bastard. And I was getting ready to shoot the cat, and I was like, wait a minute. Is this going to hurt the cat? I was like, I want to fuck with the cat. I don't want to hurt the cat. And I was like, let me shoot myself first. And I stuck my hand out in front of the gun. Damn, that hurts. The salt coming out of that hurts. I'm really glad I tested that before shooting my cat. Because that would have really pissed him off. Like I said, I'm a dickhead, but I don't want to hurt him. Yeah, I do have a lot of salt around the house. I don't care. I hate the flies. The flies around here are particularly nasty. They don't bite or anything, but I live in the desert. The relative humidity in my house right now is 22%, and it's overcast. Okay? Now, that's wonderful for feeling comfortable. Oh, I love it. It's wonderful. But here's the problem. The insects are desperate for moisture. So the little fuckers land on my eyeballs. The goddamn fly flies into my eye and tries to land on my goddamn eyeball. Do you know how disturbing that is? Or they go for your nose, or they try to fly into your mouth, or they love buzz bombing your ear. They've gotten used to the fact that you're going to swat them, so they try to kamikaze it. Like that, as they're trying to find their way into your ear, and you got to swat them away from you. There's sometimes when I go to bed at night, I have to put a towel over top of my one ear. Because I don't have an infestation of flies. It's one fly. One fly that keeps dive bombing me and trying to get in my goddamn ear. Because your ears, your nose, your mouth, and your eyes have moisture. And they want the moisture. They're desperate for the moisture. That's why, you know how when you have a kitchen sink, you have that little piece of countertop in front of the sink? I call it the sill. When I'm done dishes, I'll take my hand, wet it, and I'll drop water on the sill. I'll purposely leave the sill wet. Because that will attract the flies. And then I can sit there and pick them fuckers off with my shotgun. Sometimes I'll get 4 or 5 of them in one shot. Because they're all going after the water on the front edge of the thing. It's like, pow! I'll put the muzzle right against the countertop like this. And so the salt will just skitter right across the countertop and just bam, 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 bam. Take them all out in one shot. Yeah, if there's blasting and you see people running, run the same direction they are. Absolutely. But, that's it. All right. I've put it off long enough. I have to go to the post office and stand in line for 3 or 4 hours to pick up my mail. But first, I'm going to get another block going using these new settings, using some atomic. I also got a roll of clear red. I'm going to run that one next, if this one prints okay. And go from there. So, thank you very much for joining in. I appreciate it. If you want to help me in the short term, I have PayPal links down below. If you want to passively help me, I have affiliate links down below, especially Amazon. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. If you go to Nerys.com and click on my Amazon link, it takes you to the Amazon homepage. As long as you don't click on somebody else's affiliate link, everything you buy for the next 24 hours earns me a commission. And I appreciate that, especially for the holiday shopping. Yes, I'll be on next week. And if you want to give me long-term support, like, PBS kind of thing, I have a Patreon. You can $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever. I appreciate it. I have some people who've been on there for 5 years, and they are amazing. But that's it. I'm hopefully once I get these blocks printing successfully, I can make a regular video about these blocks. But I've just had so much problems with these damn printers. If anybody knows of a good, cheap V6 style, meaning it has that round part that clamps in, not bolts in, the Chiron uses that V6 style mount. If anybody knows of a good, cheap hot end, something like the Creality hot end that's PTFE lined. I'm just tired of dealing with all metal hot ends. I'm sick of it. The PTFE is short. Every couple thousand hours you got to replace a PTFE tube. So what? It's a fucking $1.50 for the PTFE tube. This has caused me a month's worth of nightmares. Oh, I hope I didn't crack my phone screen. I just dropped that on my phone screen. Nope, it's good. But this thing's driving me crazy. So if you know of one, send me a link to it. Preferably on Amazon, but AliExpress is fine too. Anything, eBay, whatever. Something, if I can get something around $10, $12, that'd be great. It doesn't need to be fantastic. Just basically, I tried to take the mount off of this. The mount, this part that screws into here is the part that mounts to the printer, but it's a different size than what's on the Creality hot ends, so I can't just swap them. I need a hot end that's made to make that kind of mount. So if you know of one, let me know. Send me a link so I can get the Chiron going again. I don't want the Chiron original hot end. That's a garbage hot end. It's junk. I want something different. But I want it PTFE lined. I'm just tired of messing with the all metal hot ends for now. That's it. You guys have a great day. I will see you later.